After defeating one of the waves, Naofumi and his group found themselves in the demi-human village. The heroes took it upon themselves to improve the village and use it as a base of operations for their future missions. Naofumi realizes that something is threatening the town and sets off to defeat the attackers. Arriving at the meadow where the enemies were wreaking havoc, Philo and Raphtalia appear. The duo manage to crush the enemies. However, these monsters make the heroes uneasy since they're not normal monsters or enemies from the waves, since there are still 2 weeks to go until the next one. Naofumi realizes that the clock that marks the arrival of the waves has stopped, and a great rumble is heard in the town of Melromarc. The queen summons the 4 heroes and explains that the threat that just appeared was the turtle spirit. Mirelia tells the 4 heroes that this is an enemy that shows up every 100 years and they must defeat it. The other 3 heroes don't care much and decide not to take care of this problem since they're more busy training for the wave's arrival. After the meeting, Yuusha meets her old battle team and seeks to return, but they reject her, saying that she doesn't have the material to be on their team. Yuusha gets sad, but Raphtalia decides to take her to get a slave mark placed on her so she can level up faster. Yuusha, although she's not very sure at first, ends up accepting to become stronger and return to her team. Naofumi's team sets off to the Turtle Spirit Village. Along the way, Raphtalia and Philo spend time with Yuusha, teaching her the various tasks during the adventure. Everything is going well until several monsters attack our heroes. The group defeats them, but Naofumi is forced to use Wrath's shield. When it's all over, a mysterious woman appears and tells the shield hero to finish her off. Naofumi appears at the War Council and begins to debate with the other leaders of the different kingdoms to plan the best strategy to defeat the Turtle Spirit. As they argue, a girl enters the room. She was the same one Naofumi saw after the last battle. This girl introduces herself as Ost Horai, one of the Turtle King's assistants. She explains that she was created to convince powerful heroes to give their souls to the Turtle King to strengthen him. Horai also says that the Turtle King is a spirit that exists to stop the waves in case the legendary heroes cannot stand against them. However, if Horai cannot do her job peacefully, the Turtle King will be forced to break his seal to generate massacres to increase his power. However, the only ones who can break the seal are Horai and the legendary heroes of the past. Then Naofumi realizes that someone managed to break the seal and is also controlling the Turtle King. Although there were many strategies to execute against the Turtle King, Naofumi devised a plan that he claimed had fewer victims. So the group of heroes decides to prepare for battle while camping with Horai and Risha's fencing teacher, Eclair. The heroes are on their way to where the Turtle King is to start the first attack. Naofumi's group's job is to act as bait to distract the monsters protecting the Turtle King. Finally, they defeat them with the help of Horai and his magic that can control gravity at will. But that only works on the monsters created by the Turtle King. The troops of the other kingdoms engage in a pitched battle to stop the Turtle King. Although they attack with everything they have, they cannot stop the Turtle King. Risha was reading one of the historical writings that Queen Mirelia left about the Turtle King. At that moment, the Turtle King sends a message to Naofumi through Horai, saying that he'll start attacking from a distance to collect souls. The Turtle King begins his attack and Naofumi orders a retreat, but not before deciding to launch himself together with his companions to end the threat. When they reach the Turtle King's head, they break the monster's protective layer, and Raphtalia and Philo begin to attack. Finally, they defeat the Turtle King, but the heroes realize that Horai is still alive, so the threat is still present. The heroes decide to kill the Turtle King and they climb a mountain on the back of the Turtle King to find the key to defeating him. Upon reaching the peak, they find a temple with some hieroglyphs inside. Horai continues to learn more about the Turtle King and discovers an entrance to the monster's interior so they can search for his heart and kill him. Entering the Turtle King, they meet some mysterious adventurers who claim to be sent by the Queen as support. However, Naofumi doesn't trust them and tells Raphtalia to force them to reveal their true identity with a spell. To his surprise, the shield hero's suspicions are correct, and these supposed adventurers were Lark, Therese, and Glass. Horai has a vision about who's the person behind the control of the Turtle King. She manages to see a silhouette similar to Naofumi. Still, she wakes up from her nightmare when she's about to see who it is. When she wakes up, Naofumi interrogates the group of heroes to find out why they're inside the Turtle King. Lark confesses that they come to this world again to catch the guy controlling the Turtle King and that they're not their enemies. Although Lark offers them an alliance, Naofumi declines as he doesn't fully trust them. After this, the heroes continue looking for the Turtle King's heart, and after much searching, they find its location. When they arrive, they meet Kyo and Thina. Kyo explains that he came to this world to collect souls through the Turtle King, and activates the heart's defense system to attack the heroes. Raphtalia and Philo attack the heart to destroy the Turtle King once and for all, even if Horai's life is in danger. As Raphtalia delivers the final blow, Horai collapses and enters a trance where she can finally see how to defeat the Turtle King. When she wakes up, Horai tells them they must go to the core to defeat him. She leads them to their objective, where they meet up with Kyo again. He reveals that they could have prevented it all if only they had killed Horai. She's not only a creation of the Turtle King, but she's connected to the monster's life core. Learning the truth about Horai, the heroes consider ending her, but Naofumi decides against it. Kyo reveals that he has gained enough power to fully manipulate the Turtle King. Naofumi's team cannot destroy the core because the only way to do it is by cutting off its head and destroying the heart at the same time. To help with this task, Vittoria arrives at the battlefield when the Turtle King is about to start attacking. Vittoria tells Naofumi that she'll take care of cutting off his head and that they focus on the heart. Meanwhile, Kyo uses the power of the Turtle King to try to stop the heroes from reaching the heart. However, Risha manages to break out of the spell thanks to her incredible ki control and attacks Kyo. Horai gives Naofumi the ability to use a new Turtle King shield. She also empowers the others to break free of the spell and manages to open a path for Lark and his companions to reach the heart. Upon arrival, they manage to destroy the heart and decapitate the monster simultaneously. The energy barrier falls, though Kyo had a plan to coat the core with another even stronger protective magical shield. Horai told Naofumi that the time had come to finish her off to defeat Kyo. Although Naofumi tries to do it with the Wrath Shield, he can't as he doesn't feel any hatred towards her. So Horai decides to activate the power of the Turtle King's shield so that Naofumi can destroy the core, ending the Turtle King once and for all. After the battle, Kyo, who kept all the souls he had collected in a small test tube, said he'd come for more when he could and retreated to his world. Lark and his companions followed him, and Naofumi also decides to avenge Horai's death, entering with the heroes into a new, unknown world. After going through the portal, Naofumi appears in a dungeon along with Risha and Raphtalia. Arriving in this new world, everyone is level 1 again. Leaving the dungeon, they find a completely deserted island and start looking for Philo. On the quest, they encounter a few weak enemies which they use to level up and gain abilities. Finally, the duo meets a monster whose power far surpasses them. Naofumi gets seriously injured trying to protect Raphtalia, and despite many attempts, they fail to harm the monster. Finally, when everything seems lost, Kizuna Kazayama, one of the legendary heroines of the world, appears and saves Naofumi from being killed. Kizuna explains to them that they're inside an infinite labyrinth and that there's practically no escape since Kizuna has spent years looking for a way out. After a recovery break, the heroes go out in the morning to find a way out. Kizuna leads them to a small Egyptian temple she found years before. Upon arrival, Naofumi realizes a hole in the temple wall. Still, Kizuna explains that it's a map error since it's impossible to pass beyond the limits of the game. Naofumi ends up deducing that this hole is a glitch in the game and that the only way to get through this maze is to break the glitch. Naofumi uses a plant seed, which, when it grows, makes the temple collapse and they enter the glitch. After that, they wake up outside the labyrinth in Kizuna's world, and she's very grateful that Naofumi brought her back. Once in the new world, the heroes set out to find more experience and a way to return to the village where Kizuna belongs. First, the heroes must go to the dragon's hourglass of this world to use the veins of the dragons, which will transport them to Kizuna's kingdom. But for this, they'll have to go through a group of strong guards and enemies that they don't have enough power to defeat them. Naofumi makes a potion with a shield that regenerates energy and decides to sell it to earn some easy money. When they get the money, the group manages to buy new weapons and armor to increase their power. The next day, a crowd gathered at the hourglass to witness the visit of the supposed genius Kazuki, who's well known in the village for his incredible knowledge. As night falls, a heavy snowstorm approaches, and the group decides to take shelter in an inn. However, Raphtalia gets the idea to go to the hourglass area to use it, since there are fewer guards thanks to the storm. So the group sets off and they quickly enter the place. But when Kizuna reveals the hourglass's location, the entrance is sealed, and a bunch of guards immediately arrive to capture them. The heroes manage to escape and continue fighting while they work to find the hourglass's location. There they meet Kazuki, who introduces himself as Kyo's partner and sets a trap for the heroes to capture them. Naofumi defeats him and they manage to use the hourglass's transportation method. Still, Naofumi doesn't realize it was all part of Kyo's plan. When Kizuna activates the teleporter, Raphtalia is unable to use it. In the end, Naofumi, Rishi, and Kizuna are sent to the capital while Kazuki captures Raphtalia. Arriving at the capital, Naofumi asks Kizuna to send him back to where they were to rescue Raphtalia, but she couldn't do it because the hourglass was closed from the other side. So Kizuna decides to search for Ethnobalt, the boat hero, to help them explore and rescue Raphtalia. Before setting off on the quest, Ethnobalt creates a familiar for Naofumi. This tiny creature is made from Raphtalia's hair. Ethnobalt creates this familiar to find out if Raphtalia is still alive. Plus, it can also mark the exact location of the girl. With everything ready, the heroes get ready to rescue Raphtalia. These are transported by Ethnobalt on his boat and quickly arrive at the town where Raphtalia is located. Upon arrival, Naofumi hears a scream from one of the town stores. It turns out to be Philo, who a circus had kidnapped to be its main attraction. To rescue her, the team sneaks out at night and sets her free. Still, once they reunite with the Philolial, Naofumi realizes that Raphtalia is no longer on his list of allies. Naofumi thinks for a moment that she died. However, the familiar was still alive, so they concluded that Kazuki had removed Raphtalia's slave mark. Raphtalia is taken to a prison where she meets Lark, Therese, and Glass, who Kyo also captured. Once locked up, they devise a plan to escape. Raphtalia uses illusion magic to trick the guard into stealing his cell key. When they flee, they change their clothes to go unnoticed and arrive at a nearby village where they hear about an event that will announce the new katana hero. In the event, the one who's there to receive the katana is Kazuki. Still, when Kazuki approaches to take it, the sword rejects him and appears in Raphtalia's hands. As everyone thought that she had stolen it, Raphtalia was chased by the guards as she fled through the city with difficulty as the sword made her grow. Raphtalia ran away on her own until she found a shelter. She stayed there until Kazuki arrived to take the weapon from her. Although Kazuki believed himself to be the winner, Raphtalia easily defeated him and his beasts. After the fight, Raphtalia looks for help, but she finds herself with another monster from Kazuki. The demi-human can't do anything as using the new power left her exhausted. However, just before the monster attacks, Naofumi and the others arrive to rescue her. After meeting again, the heroes and Glass's group travel to Sequel, discovering that Lark is the realm's king. Meanwhile, Kyo is planning how to finish Naofumi and his team once and for all. But first, he revives Kazuki and decides to send Yomogi Emerald, a powerful swordsman, on the task of killing Naofumi and the others. The heroes are all gathered in Sequel, looking to improve their defenses when Yomogi shows up to confront them. Together they fight against her, although they realize that the sword Yomogi carries has something strange. The blade was Kyo's actual plan since it became aware and captured Yomogi. However, at the last moment, Kizuna took it off and threw it into the air before it exploded. When Yomogi is saved, Kizuna decides to interrogate her. Although Naofumi doesn't think it's a good idea, Yomogi joins the team to defeat Kyo. However, once they're all together, the counter that warns of the wave suddenly reaches 0. Still missing 7 days, it turns out that Kyo caused the wave to finish off Naofumi, whom he left alone on Sequel. At the same time, Kyo transported all the other group members to different terrain near his lab. Raphtalia arrives at Naofumi's location while Kizuna and the others stay fighting against the waves. With Naofumi's team in Yomogi, Ethnobalt uses his boat to take them to Kyo's lab. As they enter, Kyo appears, only to tell them that they won't be able to stop him and that he also revived Kazuki with the Mirror Bearer's soul. Raphtalia stays to fight Kazuki, so Naofumi and Risha can continue advancing and defeat Kyo. Arriving with Kyo, he only begins to provoke Naofumi to use the Wrath Shield. However, the shield was consuming more and more of Naofumi, making his power against him. Risha talks some sense into him by reminding him of Philo and Raphtalia and their importance to him. As Naofumi deals with the Wrath Shield, Risha tries to buy time by attacking Kyo. Inside the shield, Naofumi is struggling not to succumb to anger. As he's about to give up, Horai appears to tell him that he no longer needs to use that shield, that he's much stronger than that. Naofumi wakes up, and by his side are Raphtalia and Philo. Naofumi activates the power of the Turtle King to finish off Kyo once and for all. After the battle, Naofumi and his group return to their world with the help of the Turtle King's power. After their adventure in the other world, Naofumi and the others decide to take a trip to say goodbye to Horai. Along the way, they reminisce about their time with her. They also told stories about Kizuna and their journey to the other world. Kizuna was also telling stories to Yomogi while fishing together. She told her about her experience in the Infinite Labyrinth and how she managed to survive the days she was trapped. Yomogi told her how Kyo was in his childhood and how he had fun with her before he went to Naofumi's world. At the end of the trip, Naofumi and the others arrive where they defeated the Turtle King to pray for Horai and say their goodbyes. In the end, she appears in front of them in a pure energy form and finally says goodbye to the heroes. And that was Tate no Yuusha Season 2 recapped. If you enjoyed this recap, remember to click that sub, hit the like button, and comment down below to let me know what you think of the series. I'll see you in the next video.